All right, welcome to the third game of the evening. Up this time is Conglomerate 451, which is a grid based dungeon crawling first person RPG with roguelike elements set in a cyberpunk world. You are the CEO of a special agency instructed by the Senate of Conglomerate City to restore the order in Sector 451, whose corrupted corporations have established their turfs. Thanks to the last constitutional decree, you are allowed to create human clones, build your own team, manipulate DNA, train your agents, equip them with high end weapons, choose which cyber limbs to implant, and send the squad to the field with only one goal: eradicate crime and restore order at any cost. Right, so this game was given to the Golux for review. So over to him with the details.
For starters, I was somewhat concerned about how this was both first person and grid based, and it works more or less as you'd expect. I played with the controller. I recommended Petty and would recommend you if you decide to go with this to probably use keyboard and mouse.
So
Um,
so yeah, like even though this game is a cyberpunk game, let's be honest here. This lineage traces all the way back to wizardry.
a
You know,
bit, yeah. So yeah, you have a team of at least I think it might be just 3 agents. You go to, and after the tutorial and the first mission, once you've earned some money and stuff, um, you can customize this more than you can at first. Also, disclaimer, I played through the tutorial, lost the first mission once, and started it again but did not finish. Because the missions take a while. So yeah, you have a team and that occupies one grid square. You have mouse look approximately within the face of your grid square, a little bit beyond it. And then you move with direction. You can only move orthogonally, no diagonals. You turn 90 degrees, and then you can, like, there's overlap on the corners. So if something is kind of near the edge of the screen, you can get it from either thing. But you have to turn. You can strafe, or at least walk sideways. Um, and Yeah, and you have a mini map, which is useful because I was concerned about some of the procedural generation in this kind of setup. And also, if you can see a guy, an enemy, you can click on it to engage with it, even if you're a little bit around a corner or something, which is convenient. However, all of your skills have ranges, and it's possible to click on enemies when they're barely within range. You do have one of your characters has the ability to spend their turn to move. But yeah, by default, in combat, you have 4 actions, which you can generally target at any of the guys that you're looking at. Once you're making your own guys, you can customize what these are, but the classes strongly hint you towards certain things. And it's kind of your standard thing where there are a lot of bonuses for a lot of status effects you can inflict, a lot of bonus damage based on type of enemy, whether they're a cyborg or an android or whatever. Enemies have resistances. You do have to manually click on things to interact with them. There's a scan function that you can use to find points of interest. Like it has a lot of what you'd expect or at least hope to find in this kind of thing. Yeah, no, 90% of the doors in this game are just decorative. If the map has a solid wall there, it's just a wall.
Mm.
You can often, possibly because of the procedural generation, when you see some enemies that are kind of looking in your general direction, you can try to flank them from another direction and take them out that way.
Mm.
And your general goal is to either get to the elevator to the next zone, which the loading times in this are not great.
Fuck you! I'm even
Or
on an SSD, and that wasn't great. Jesus.
sometimes it happens in battle.
Oh God.
Or get to the final obstacle or final target of your operation. So yeah, I think Petty's getting to the point where they're going to soon introduce the fact that you have hacking options in Battle 2, of which only some of them are actually hacking. That's also where your move the party options live. On the controller, it was left trigger. I assume it's going to be right click or something.
Try to hack.
And yeah, the hacking is always mini games and stuff, and some of your characters are better at things than other ones. The three starter classes are the soldier, which is your kind of heavy armed and heavy armored guy, a sniper, which I forget what they call it. You got to rotate it.
Yeah.
And a drifter who gets a lot of support abilities, both buff and debuff. Which is a decent first loadout, but and they have abilities. It's like one guy has skills that do more damage if someone's inflicted with radiation. The other guy has the ability to inflict radiation. One of the guys has an ability that can give an enemy the marked status. Another guy has an attack that does more when they have the mark. And I honestly, for all of my play, could not fully distinguish the difference between how shields and health work in this. Aside from that, health is harder to repair, and I think shields recover themselves if you get certain environmental things.
And hacking is basically magic.
Yes, it does not take your turn. But it consumes your battery, which is a limited resource.
Is there a way to increase this resource?
Yes, I believe so, but it's not immediate. There are battery pickups, like places on the maps that you can recharge.
I didn't know if
some
this would
of
be
your
something
battery.
like D&D spell slots where you can only really increase it by sleeping at the inn. You know?
That's refill, not increase. There's a
Fair.
difference.
Or yeah, refill.
I believe when you're in the base management section, there's stuff you can do there. In the basement, you can like unlock the ability to, because what you're using for this is disposable clones of the templates of the various classes you have. I mean, it's better if you treat them like people, I guess, but when someone dies, you can just make another one of them. It's that screen you were looking at before.
Yeah.
It took you a while to figure this out. I thought it had required you to to open the chest then, but no. So yeah, there's like mini games for hacking. In combat hacking is just selecting from a menu generally though. And your options there are like get information about an enemy that lets you know what they're weak and vulnerable to and how strong they are. Yeah, so like that. And then yeah, once you get back, you get a lot of options for theoretically in the future giving your guys more cybernetic limbs that increase their abilities, teaching them new skills instead of the ones they have. But This is all dependent on whether you have the money, the tech resources, and in a lot of cases, you need to have a certain amount of reputation with the 4 major factions or whatever in the city in order to be able to buy things. Like, when I got to the first actual stage, there were like 3 or 4 shops. None of them would sell me anything because my reputation was still basically 0. There was one vending machine I was able to get a points of interest on the next floor scan from. Because vending machines don't care about your reputation. But yeah, a lot of places sold like weapons and programs and stuff that I did not have. I also had a really kind of hard time like telling how I was doing in battle. Like, the red bar next to your character's life gauge is next to your character's portraits is your life. But I'm less certain about like where shield lives and stuff.
Shield is on the opposite side of health, it looks like.
Oh, it is? I thought it was one of the ones underneath. Anyway.
Battery is green bar on the bottom.
Yeah, no, I got those. Below that, there's like a purple and a... Anyway, yeah. Yeah, if you look at your stats, you can do it all, but there's a lot of information in this game. If you're not interested in that kind of thing, and you... Part of the reason why I think I failed first stage when I got toward the end is because I was having a hard time. I had kind of come up with a strategy that worked on most things, but it didn't work as well when I was fighting robots, so I was trying to alter my thing, but some of the skills were ones that I hadn't put in my loadout, and some of them just I could not figure out how to manage my party's health, because they had machine guns that were doing more damage than I was expecting. And again, some of it is randomized, so you're not exactly guaranteed to run into the same thing twice.
Right.
And yes, this encounter at the end of the tutorial is timed based on the number of turns you take, unlike some of the mini games that are timed by actual time, because that's not confusing at all. And it does track your turn count for each mission, where every time you take a step is a turn, and every turn in combat is a turn. Most other interactions aren't. Turning isn't. So, I guess my general impressions of this one, the cyberpunk aesthetic is a little bit rough in the way that cyberpunk aesthetics often are, but I'm not sure the graphics quality is quite living up to what they want it to be. It's not terrible, but it's like noticeable that stuff is like kind of... There's a lot of wet stuff, a lot of neon. And then other textures are kind of eh. A lot of reused assets because of stuff being procedurally generated.
Yeah.
As in, like, piles of junk lying around rooms. You'll run into the same room multiple times.
Honestly, the game that this reminds me of is, anyone else here remember Vaporeum?
It rings a bell, but I don't remember the game. I remember the name.
It was basically this, but like medieval.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, like, well, that is part of the thing that I'm gonna say I weigh against some of the downsides, is that first-person dungeon crawler type things in a cyberpunk aesthetic is fairly novel. That's not a combination you get often, and I do appreciate that. And I think that first-person dungeon crawls are an interesting game format. I think if I played the game longer, I might get more used to the amount of information it provides, because it does kind of just throw a lot of stuff at you that you have to bring up a menu, and then it has a lot of information you don't need and some that you do. Sorry. So yeah, the graphics, the pace of play, not great. And sometimes that tags up to the literal lag problems when the AI is thinking about what it's going to do next. It does require a certain amount of spatial awareness, as any first-person game does, because your enemy can see you just as you come around a corner, so it's better to look around the corner before you go. Though your HUD does map hostiles it also took a little while to get used to the fact that in a lot of first-person things, you can mostly only interact with things that are right in front of you. In this one, you can interact fairly freely with things about 4 blocks away. I think the squares are about 5 meters.
Mm.
And a lot, or maybe it's 3. And a lot of your things have ranges that are like 15, 13. So yeah, takes a little bit of... Honestly, I'm a little bit torn on this. Like I said, it has a lot of things that did not appeal to me particularly. The voice acting is also pretty bad. And some of the AI assistants, voice clips, even in the fairly short amount of time I played. It has a go for the eyes boo joke that maybe it's because I was trying to make headshots, but I heard that like 3 times. So yeah, the first part of it is a Kobayashi Maru thing. And then they get you all set up with this. And soon Petty will get into the base building thing where there are like so many things you can improve, but you do not have enough money to improve all of them. I'm not sure how long it'll take to get, and actually it's not even the money, it's the tech that I was running out of.
Mm.
And then I feel like there's probably an optimal, like the ones I improved were cloning, because theoretically that way when you make more guys, you can get better ones. Because cloning, as far as I can tell, is free. Or it's certainly not as expensive as
I will say at least there's an auto
research.
mode to handle that crap.
Yeah. Again, you make a guy, you choose your character, the background you're making, of which you start with 3, and I don't think you could have any doubles, so at least not for your first run. I think for later runs you can. But yeah, you do your thing. You choose 4 skills out of a list of like 8. You choose a DNA template or DNA mod template, of which you start out with basic. And then yeah, you get to name them.
Name your mooks that you're sending into, go die.
By default, they get the name of the template and then some numbers, which is all I bothered with.
No, that's fair.
Maybe when you get to the point in the game where you can make stuff that's actually good, it would be worth trying to customize them more, but I was just trying to see if I could succeed. And oh, you do also get to choose the color of their Tron lines.
Oh man.
And they each clone looks the same, but you do have options of different facial tattoos that you can select if you want.
Mm-hmm. So like if you're like, can you bounce between multiple saves?
I think so.
So like if you're dealing, just to keep things straight, if you're dealing with like different mutations and stuff,
maybe, but you can also just make more guys usually.
Well, like if you're seeing how some work differently, it helps to give them the face tattoo, literally like you'd mark Pokemon in your box on Pokemon.
That is one thing you can do with that, yes.
So for people who like to min-max.
Possibly, yeah. And then you can't actually afford any of the mods now because you haven't researched any of them. But after this, you go to the research room, and then she just lets you like buy the first. Like, okay, we're researching things. Like, you can only literally pick the first slot of any of these things because all the other ones are.
I can't even pick any of it unless they already
Yes, you
just
can.
gave it to me. I'm clicking on it unless
click on the first slot. The dumbed out one that's all the way on the.
Yeah, this one right here. Oh, it's just giving me the first one of cloning action. All right. My monitor was
It's
closing
literally
the.
just saying, "Okay, I'm going to start working on these," and then you can't afford any of the other ones, and
The button was so small where my monitor was sitting, I couldn't see the button that said research.
fair enough.
So
And
that's
then,
just
and
my
then
setup failure, not a UI failure.
and then most of the other things are gated by reputation anyway. But yeah, this gives you option like you probably want the healing one because that so cloning lets you get different variations of the guys you make. Healing lets you heal your guys between missions, I believe, because you can get injuries. Honestly, I usually just ended up dead when I got too badly injured, but
Ideally, they will
training
live.
researches new skills. Military is new equipment, and cyber, again, like I said, there's eventually you can give your guys cybernetic limbs. And it might also have some hacking stuff. So yeah, there is a lot to do here, and the missions, the tutorial mission is pretty short. The other missions take place in significantly larger areas, and take longer unless you are not exploring much, which I feel like this is the kind of game where if you're not exploring much, you're. And again, for all I know, there's a time limit later on. Also, there's the story mode of this game. Each mission takes a week, I guess, or the setup and then the thing takes a week. The story mode, you have 75 weeks to clean up Zone 451, but there's also an endless mode. There are also 3 difficulty levels available from the start. I played on, I think I played on easy, and I still ended up dying to some fucking slightly more dangerous than portal turret looking guys. So yeah, that's most of what we're looking at. So yeah, oh, and the music is more or less what you'd expect for a cyberpunk thing, techno-ish. I guess I have to ask Adam, what are they asking for this? Because that makes a big difference in whether some of the shortcomings are like reasonable or not.
They are asking for $20.
I
Don't choke on your tongue.
$20 is a budget now, so yeah, I can kind of see it.
And like, how
It's
voice
clear that
acted is this? Is it, like, I know the voice acting is not great, but like,
it's not, huh?
the I know the voice acting you said wasn't great, but is there like a lot of voice acting, only like story parts?
They're pretty thorough, I think. Like shopkeepers don't have voice dialogue really, but the what's her name, Echo or whatever, won't shut up during missions. You get talk from the guy occasionally too. And the cutscenes are voiced.
So there's at least a healthy amount of voice acting, assuming they paid the actors.
You know, it's a budget thing, so yeah, it really feels like it had aspirations of being bigger and slicker, and the fact that they didn't quite make it shows, you know?
Right. I mean, it's been pretty apparent that the game is limited.
Yeah, but I guess overall, I would probably give it a soft recommend if you're interested in cyberpunk and/or first-person dungeon crawl type stuff. Also, they spelled conglomerate wrong in Japanese.
Well, they spelled their publisher's name wrong as well, so...
Well, that's for... The reason why... Okay, I brought that up mostly as a joke because it's really... It says Conglomerate, which is a way of rendering conglomerate, but it's a little bit awkward. And honestly, Zaibatsu probably would have been more accurate. But I guess this is set in not Japan, so...
Well, Blade Runner had the Japanese influence, so...
Yeah, the root of cyberpunk was from when people were still worried about the Japanese using their economy to take over us, as opposed to now where it's more concerned about the Chinese or the Indians or something using their economy to take over us.
It's also like Blade Runner had a profound effect on Japanese pop culture, and that wound its way into...
but yeah, a lot of cyberpunk aesthetic got locked in at that era.
Yep. So...
Which is why the katakana is there in the name in the first place.
Yep.
So yeah, I think overall I can give this a soft recommendation.
All right.
As long as you're not looking for a masterpiece.
All right, so it sounds like that's about it on Conglomerate 451, and not even one Ray Bradbury joke to be made. Yeah. Anyway, so be sure to tune in after the break as we review Death Howl.